Welcome back to the What's Not Sports podcast. This is episode 79. We're here for another episode of the Pulse Check. I have to say, devastation is running through me right now. I'm not wearing any Queensland gear. I am, in fact, though, wearing a Raiders jersey, so you can't win them all, but you can win some. At least it wasn't two heartbreaks in the same weekend. Or same week. There's some light. Origins was just shambles. Did the better team win? Or was it really a disrupted bunker that had the final say? But at least, as I said, I can drown my sorrows in milk because the Raiders did get the win this weekend. Happy days. The Milk's victory, it was a good one. We'll dive into that. But we're going to talk Origin. We're going to talk a round 19 review, a round 2 review of the NRLW. We're then going to talk a few pointers that I want to point out that's in the NRL news at the moment. I then want to have a look at our tips around 3 of the NRLW and round 20 of the NRL. And then we'll finish the podcast out. Boom. Done. Short, sweet. But let's go. Origin Game 3. It sucked. As a Queenslander, it sucked. Nothing worse on it. Did Queensland play not their best footy? Yes. They played slightly poorly. Yes. Did New South Wales play good? Yes. And it pains me to say it. Yes, they played extremely well. Did the ref and the bunker mess up multiple calls throughout the game? Yes. But honestly, Queensland probably still would have won with those calls made if they were playing better footy. Should there be an investigation? Probably. Will there be? Probably not. But should there? Probably. But you know what? We are still Queensland. There's next year. No need to carry on New South Welshmen like you guys have won 8 in a row. Queenslanders, no need to cry because it's not like we lost 8 in a row. It's all right. We just lost 1. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. We are still Queensland. We just get Origin. We will dominate. We'll get Origin. I'm sick of everyone saying, oh, Queensland don't get Origin. They haven't won the last 3 years in Brisbane. Shut your mouth. You want to know what Origin is? Last year, yes, we lose at our home. But we do the impossible. We win on the road. Never done before. We did that last year. The year before, we beat you at Sydney. And you don't talk about that. How many times in a row we beat you at Sydney. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Yes, we didn't beat you at Sydney this year. We should have. We got robbed by Ashley Klein in the bunker. Well, not the bunker, actually. Ashley Klein. But it's fine. Let's not throw stones from a glass house, New South Welshman. Watch out. Look, I think Laurie got blessed. He got very lucky with that send-off in Game 1, and that's what won New South Wales the series. Not Game 3. The performance of Game 3 wouldn't have mattered if Game 1 wasn't a send-off. Hate to say it. That's the truth. So Laurie's been blessed with that. And look, I find it hilarious how many New South Welshmen are going, oh, we want Laurie out. This is ridiculous. And then he wins. They're like, oh, we're so sorry, Laurie. We're going to back you the whole way. It's silly. He's won 2 out of 7 Origins now. Congratulations, I guess. Laurie, you've done hard work of losing. It's probably about time you've won another. The score's still on Queensland's side. Billy, on the other hand, I think he's 3-2 or 4-2, something like that. He's in the positives. So I wouldn't worry about Queensland. Yes, there's rumours that he might not be back next year, and that does pain me a lot. But it's okay because we're Queensland, we get Origin. No matter who our coach is, they're going to do a good job because of the playing group and how we all get the Queensland spirit. We get the fucking culture. Apologies, I did not just drop the F word, but I did. We get the culture. that New South Wales just doesn't have. That's why you guys in history have never been able to win more than 3. And in recent times, yes, both teams only been able to go on a streak of 2 in a row since Queensland won a run of 3 in a row in 15, 16, 17. But it's just, we get it and you don't. Did Nathan Cleary actually dominate Origin? That is a question that's worth answering. And I don't know. He did have a good game. He played more of a 5'8" role. Moses played more of a 7 with 721 kick meters, something like that. That's huge. It's a new record of kick meters in Origin. I think he only had like 18 run meters, like something ridiculously low. And how New South Wales hadn't worked that out on how it should have been played, that one of those playmakers is just a kicker and game managers while the other one runs the ball like a traditional halfback and a traditional 7. Like, yes, the numbers are reversed, but I think, in my opinion, Moses played more of a traditional 7 role and Cleary played that more traditional 5'8" role. A lot of ball running, things like that. And the fact that it's taken so long for New South Wales to work out how that combination works blows my mind. It's just stupid at that point how long it's taken you guys to work that out. It's all right. It's fine. But Nathan Cleary dominating Origin, I'm not convinced on it yet. You guys said he dominated Origin in game 1 in the last 10 minutes of the game when we had a player sent off. I don't count that. Yes, he scored 2 tries. And I'm going to sound like an idiot saying, I don't know. But I don't. It's not a performance where I go, that was insane. And to his credit, he got the Wally Lewis medal. And on paper, it probably does make him potentially a future immortal. But I think the next immortal is JT. Probably Cam Smith after that, if those two even get it, and then maybe Nathan Cleary. That's my thought on the immortal conversation. Debate me on it, please do. But did he really deserve to get the Wally Lewis medal? Obviously, I think Sam Walker, game 1, Queensland wins. He gets man of the match. He then obviously got man of the match in game 2. He probably walks away with the Wally Lewis medal. Nathan, I didn't think deserves it in game 1. I thought Ethan Strange did. People said Tedesco, but Tedesco's only good thing he did in game 1 was catch a ball and score in the dying minutes of the game. Broke my heart. But that's besides the point. I think now on paper you look at Nathan Cleary and go, he's one of the greatest to do it now, which I was never denying, at least at club level. But overall, I think, yes, he probably is one of the best to do it. And getting that Wally Lewis medal is huge. So, congratulations. He still has only one decider. I think he's 1 for 5 now, or something like that. Some ridiculous stat like that. Before last week, he'd never won a decider, so I don't think you can go and say he's dominated Origin when he's only won 1 decider. I think Ethan Strange for New South Wales should have had more of a run, but that's probably my greatest bias, even though he was your best player in game 1. Reece Walsh, they inserted him into the game at the right time. He started to look lethal with the ball, and he was looking good. Queensland just couldn't execute, and that was our problem. We just made errors when we should have executed. Sam Walker, unfortunately, he shied away a little bit in game 3. I think the lights might have been a bit too bright. We really needed that cool, composed Sam Walker that we had in game 1 and game 2 that absolutely just dominated New South Wales. But it's okay. He'll have time. It'll be interesting to see what happens next year. Will Dearden be in? Will Walker be in? Will Munster be in? Munster's the captain, but Dearden can play 6. Walker plays 7. That could be a lethal combo. Who knows? We'll see what happens in the next year, but I'm not 100% sure what our halves look like next year. But it'll be interesting. It's just sad the boys didn't get up like they usually do. It just, I know obviously there's a lot of controversial calls, and the more you look back on it, the more decisions you think went the wrong way. But it is what it is. Breaks my heart, but it is what it is, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. All right, done with that. Origin's over. We'll see you in, 10 months for Origin. Let's talk round 19 tips. Well, I actually had a pretty good run here. 5 out of 7. So the Tigers play the Wars. We tip the Wars that they get the win. Dolphins versus Sharks. We had the Dolphins tipped, and I was not expecting this bloodbath of 66-0. The Dolphins can no longer win the premiership, guys. So Finns, they were up, but now the Finns are down. I don't like the Sharks that they won that. It surprised me. Caught me completely off guard. But anyway, the Dogs versus Raiders. Oh, the Dogs are trash. The Milk showed up. We had 5 players or something like that this week. The Colonel Sanders, Ethan Sanders had a career best game. Owen Pattie had a career best game. Zach Hoskins, potentially a career best game. The Mule scored 3 tries. He scored a hat-trick. The first lock to do it in 17 years, I think. Something like that. Incredible stuff. And I just love it. And I bleed the green up the Milk. I love it. The boys played really well. Noah Martin, he was so good to have back. He didn't even come through Cup. He's gone straight back into the NRL side. And he dominated. His try saver, if he doesn't do that try saver at the start of the game, I don't think the Raiders win like they do. If all they, momentum probably goes to the Dogs. But no, the fact that he was there on the defense, forced that error and drop ball, Savage was there to clean it up and run the full field. That's just backyard Milk footy right there. And that's just the embodiment of what the Raiders are. And I love it. I love a bit of backyard footy of what the Raiders are. And yeah, that's that. Roosters versus Para. Tip the Roosters. They get the win there. Easy. Daniel Tupou's 300th game. It's pretty good. Pretty good stuff. Bunnies versus Knights. I don't know why I tipped the Knights. On Jai Arrow's birthday as well. I just thought the Knights were in good form, which they have been. I just think the Bunnies were a bit sloppy the week before against Penrith, or was that 2 weeks ago? I don't know. But I just thought they'd been a little bit sloppy and just weren't there. And that's a true fact. But the Bunnies got the win there. They just held on. Manly versus Cows. I tipped the Cowboys, and I kind of don't remember why I did, but they got the win. Can't complain. There's another tip there. And Storm versus Titans. The Titans should have won this game. They got very unlucky, and the Storm got the win. I did tip the Storm and get the win, the tip there. So 5 out of 7, not horrible, but I really do think the Titans got the wrong end of the rub. NRLW, round 2. Far out. I am good at tipping NRLW. Nearly a perfect score. Sharks versus Broncos. Had the Broncos tipped. They get the win. Cowboys versus Tigers. Had the Tigers tipped. They get the win. Dogs versus Titans. Titans dominated this one. Jamie Chapman scored 4 tries. Unbelievable. Great performance from her. The Titans win that one. Roosters versus Knights. Tip the Roosters. They get the win. Raiders versus Wars. The Milk got it done. Both the girls and the boys got it done this week. I'm very happy with that. And the Dragons versus Eels. I don't know why I tipped the Eels, but the Dragons got the win and ruined my almost perfect week of NRLW tips. That's all right. Because next week we'll get perfect, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Now, before we jump into next week's tips, or this round's tips, tonight's tips, there's a few things I want to talk about. Let's kick it off with Jerome Luai. I absolutely crack up at this, the fact that he is off to Parramatta next season. Not sticking out his full contract with the Tigers. They don't want him after he signed with PNG due to some unknown reason, but a bit of a culture change is what I believe. And I find that hilarious. The fact that Luai absolutely bagged a young Lockie Galvin for going to the Bulldogs and not completing his time at the Tigers. I just find Luai to be grubby for that and bashing, at least on social media and through his comments, bashing an 18, now 19-year-old, maybe 20 now, but a young kid trying to make his way in the rugby league world. And it's just poor form from Luai, and it was. But now, Luai, the hypocrite maybe, has poor culture since he signed with PNG. He's off to Parramatta now because Tigers turned around and said, we don't want him. We've had enough of him. A culture change has happened, and it's not good for the team. And then next year while he's at Para, like, this is just, the same guy in, 22, just saying he owns Parramatta. He's now going there. Let's see how that goes. Parramatta, what is up with them and their halves pairings? Year contracts, things like that. Jonah Pezzett, he was a bit of a blowout. He's off to the Broncos next year. Now Luai's in for a year. Who's next? Like, I just don't get it. Now let's talk about another, a former Parramatta Eels player, Zach Lomax. He's been over in the west side of Australia playing in the Super Rugby for, you guessed it, the Western Perth. We knew that. The Western Force Perth side of the comp. He is now linked with potentially going to PNG, so making a return in 2028. And that abides by his contract that he had with the Eels. He wasn't allowed to rejoin the NRL unless it was with the Eels until after 2027. 2028, ding, ding, ding. PNG Chiefs will be the new home of Lomax is what it's looking like. And another interesting one that I actually do like, Mark Nwanganita-Wase. Marky Mark, our friend. He's off to Japanese rugby at the end of the year after the season ends. But there's a World Cup on. And halfway through the World Cup, his contract ends on October 31st. The NRL are looking at potentially giving him a 2-week contract so he then can play out the rest of the World Cup for Australia. Because if he's available, Kevin Walters wants him on the wing, and I absolutely agree with that. He is one of the deadliest wingers in the game. Aerial threat, just big bloke, just gets footy, eh? Marky Mark, good on you. Hope he signs that. I hope we can get that across the line, and it doesn't have any conflict of interest type stuff. It's not doing anything against anyone really because he hasn't signed a contract with Rugby Australia yet. But there you go. Those are my 3 little insights of the week that I just found interesting and I wanted to talk about. Let's go round 20 tips. Tonight, we got Penrith versus the Broncos. It's a good rivalry there. I'm going to tip Penrith, though. I just don't think the Broncos have it in them. They've lost 8 straight in a row. It's awful. It is awful for Broncos fans. Sucked in. But, yes, I'm picking Penrith. I don't want to pick Penrith, but I think they'll beat the Broncos. Sharks versus Knights. I don't want to tip the Sharks, so I'm picking the Knights. The Knights will bounce back from their loss against South and pump the Sharks. You've heard it here first. Roosters versus Storm. Now, this is an interesting one. I don't want to pick the Roosters. The Storm, I feel that they nearly lost. They should have lost to the Titans. But, you know what? I'm going to pick the Storm. I'll pick the Storm to win. Oh, but no Munster. Munster's now out and could potentially be out for the rest of the season. Oh, I can't believe it. I'm going to pick the Roosters. I hate it. It pains me, but I'm going to pick the Roosters to beat the Storm. Raiders versus Bunnies. Second time they played this year. Up the milk. Up the milk. Viking clapping you all day. They're obviously going to get the win over the Bunnies. The Warriors will get the win over the Dragons. Dogs versus Tigers. I hope the Dogs just bully Luai, to be honest. I hope Lockie Galvin actually has to spray at Luai on the field, has a little slide on comment and get under his skin. That would be cool. Titans versus Manly. I'm going to pick Titans here. Manly, they're just in a bit of like fizzle land, and it's something weird. But I think the Titans are going to win that one, and the Dolphins are going to bounce back to beat the Cowboys this week after their awful loss. They get the whole boys from Origin back, and I think they steamroll the Cowboys. NRLW round 3, quick fire, Milk versus Roosters. I think the Raiders get the win there. The Warriors versus Cowgirls. I'm going to pick the Wars there. Dogs versus Sharks. Let's pick the Sharkies. They've been good. Titans versus Parramatta. Titans get one there. Jamie Chapman. Let's put her on for a hat trick. Broncos versus Tigers. Easy one there. Bronx there. And the Knights versus Dragons. I'm going to tip the Knights. Boom. Done. Let's see if we can get all my tips right this week. I'm feeling confident about them. There's not really any that I've gone, oh. I am feeling deadly confident about them all. Guys, if you think otherwise, let me know. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Pulse Check. That's episode 79. And we are out.